Alright everybody, good morning and welcome back to your favorite Saturday morning lawyer tunes, my playthrough of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. It is, once again, a very gray and drizzly and dreary Saturday outside my window in the greater Boston area. I don't know what it is with me playing video games and everything coming down from the sky all at once, but apparently I summoned the rain. Where's the... Oh, yes, all of the case titles have the word turnabout in them. It's a direct translation of gyakuten in Japanese, which means to turnabout, to upturn something, usually very suddenly, to flip it over. The series in Japanese is called Gyakuten Saiban, Turnabout Court. There's only one case in the series that doesn't have gyakuten somewhere in the title. It doesn't have turnabout in the title in English. The bonus case to this game from the DS re-release is called Rise from the Ashes in the English title. In Japanese, it's actually called Yomigairu Gyakuten, the resurrected, remembered. Yomigairu is to return or to recall. Yomigairu is a very specific verb for to come back, to be redug up, basically. So yeah, it's Yomigairu Gyakuten for the bonus case, which is the next case in this English re-release. Yeah, the theme for everything is turnabout, and in fact, this case is called Sayonara Gyakuten, turnabout goodbyes in Japanese, and the theme goes beyond the court cases. In a lot of these things, the specific character arc for Phoenix and Edgeworth, in fact, has just been flipped about. I've mentioned the way they talk to each other in Japanese is extremely familiar, and when you assumed that they were bitter rivals, it's familiar to the point of contemptuous, but we've just learned in this case that they actually kind of don't hate each other, which is very surprising, since nobody else seems to think Edgeworth is friendly at this point. But that's another gyakuten. It happens a lot in this series. It is an ongoing thing, not just in the mysteries, but in the, every character arc, too. And on that note, let's actually get started with the game. If I can get everything all squared away over here on Steam and on Twitch. I did knock the picture quality down from like 1920 by 1280 to 1280 by 720p, which seems to have fixed a lot of the video problems. The computer's not actually ticking over, like my encoder is only going at 2% of CPU usage, so that's not the problem. I think it is just that this building doesn't necessarily play great with Wi-Fi. We are in a very old house that has been converted into an only slightly less old apartment, and the router is down on the floor below me, which is also the second floor of a three-story building that has a lot of radio frequency interference from other houses around, and just the sheer amount of stuff in the air here. All of us have a lot of wireless everything, so in any case, I seem to have fixed most of the super crunchy video on Twitch problem, and Twitch is no longer kicking me off, so I think they are also resolved, whatever happened there. In any event, there is a video game. We have gotten through day 1 of Turnabout Goodbyes, in which Phoenix hears on the news that Edgeworth has been arrested for murder, goes to visit Edgeworth in detention, like, immediately, because why wouldn't you go see a guy who was apparently very angry at you the last time he lost a case to you, you know, to save him from a murder charge? Maya's super confused. Edgeworth was not confused, but he was yeah, we probably do need a new router. Hello, housemate. Hello, Oddity on Fire. We probably do need a new router. I have to buy a cheap repeater router soon anyway, because I have to go stream somebody's Nutcracker performance in early December, and their Wi-Fi is apparently absolute crap. Yes, Spatial Rift. Introduced to Oddity on Fire. Oddity, this is Spatial Rift. Spatial Rift was one of my very first housemates when I moved to Boston. I wound up in his apartment couch surfing and then renting one of the spare rooms. And Oddity on Fire is a current housemate, in fact in the room directly below me as I'm streaming this right now. Hopefully the neighbors don't set off the fire alarm again while I'm on Twitch. Anyhow, Phoenix went to visit Edgeworth in detention and was absolutely determined to defend him in court, even though Edgeworth said absolutely not, especially you, which Maya just went question mark, question mark, question mark too, because why do you two know each other? Phoenix went and investigated anyway, discovered that Detective Gumshoe is, like, fanatically devoted to Edgeworth. He is Edgeworth's loyal puppy dog, and really, a golden retriever as a police detective would be about as successful as Gumshoe. Uh, Eventually, Phoenix found out enough about what was going on that he went back to detention and said, "Yo, Edgeworth, I'm pretty sure you didn't kill this guy, plus no other defense attorney in town will take your case." And Edgeworth is like, fine. So we went through the day one of court where one of our witnesses, a quote-unquote investigative journalist, finally fessed up that she was not trying to take pictures of a meteor shower, she was in fact trying to get pictures of Gordy, the monster of Gord Lake. She also convinced herself that she witnessed the murder when it turns out that she actually did not, and we demolished her testimony on the stand. The new prosecutor for this case, since Edgeworth is in the dock, is Manfred von Karma, who is absolutely terrifying to everyone in his path. He has had a run-in with the Edgeworth family before. Edgeworth's father, Gregory, was a very famous defense attorney who defended a case versus Von Karma as prosecutor and got him the only blotch on his record in 40 years. Von Karma didn't lose the case, but he did get sanctioned for his behavior in court, which he was fairly pissed about. We managed to survive the first day in court, mainly through Maya basically getting herself arrested for contempt by shouting at people out of turn from the defense table. And, yeah, back to more investigation. The judge has actually ordered both sides to go find out what the fuck, because the case is now very confusing. We're still pretty sure that Edgeworth didn't kill anybody. We're almost positive that Edgeworth didn't kill anybody, even by accident, but nobody knows what went on anyway. Up against... Von Karma is the localization of the name. Originally, the Japanese name was Karuma, and, like, Karuma was, like, I think it's spelled Hell Demon or something like that. They are definitely evil. It's right there in the name. There's a whole family of them, and apparently Edgeworth learned from Von Karma, which is how he got his reputation as the demon prosecutor who would do anything to win a case. Von Karma is scary and doesn't like losing even more than Edgeworth doesn't like losing. Von Karma doesn't actually care what really happened, he just needs to win. So anyway, back to court. Actually, back to investigation first, but eventually back to court. December 26th, detention center, visitor's room. I don't know if I remembered to mention this last week, but this single case is probably the biggest reason that fans of the first game decided that there is a lot of romantic undertone between Phoenix and Edgeworth, and a lot of it is kind of it doesn't really clock for Western players, specifically that in Japan, Christmas is not a family holiday. It was imported by Westerners coming to trade, and so they got like the commercialized aspect of it and the glittery decoration and stuff. Christmas is considered a lover's holiday in Japan, and it is the day after Christmas, and Phoenix has gone back basically to save Edgeworth from a murder charge. Yes, who was Edgeworth accused of murdering? At first you didn't know the name of the victim. It turns out to be a guy named Robert Hammond. What we know so far is that this case is intimately tangled up with a case that happened 15 years ago. As mentioned, Edgeworth's father, Gregory Edgeworth, was the defense attorney in a case. You actually, like, four games in a spin-off series from now, you find out what that case was, but it's irrelevant here. The case that got Manfred von Karma his only sanction in 40 years of trying things. The current murder is basically, there was a guy out on a boat in the middle of a gourd lake, and Edgeworth, how do I explain this? The victim was shot in a rowboat in the middle of a lake. Edgeworth was accused of doing it for what turned out to be excellent if incorrect reasons, because he was out on a boat in the middle of the lake, and his fingerprints were on the gun. The fingerprints of the wrong hand were on the gun. And photos of the actual murder taken by the investigative reporter reveal that you can't actually see who is in the boat with him because it was very, very foggy out. We eventually identified the victim as a man named Robert Hammond, who was the defense attorney um, in a case and actually defending the man accused of murdering Edgeworth's father. Yes, actual forensics. There were actual accurate forensics. Some fingerprint stuff, and there's, I think, more actual accurate real-world forensics a little bit later in the case. Anyway, the guy that Edgeworth was accused of murdering was the defense attorney who got an acquittal of the man who was accused of murdering Edgeworth's father, Gregory. Right after the case, the last case he defended versus Von Karma, they were in the courthouse, and Edgeworth was actually with him watching the case. His little tiny 9-year-old Professor Edgeworth in a bow tie was actually with him to watch the case. They were in the courthouse when an earthquake struck, cut off the power. The two of them were trapped in an elevator with the bailiff, a man named Yanni Yogi. Yanni freaked out. Everybody passed out from lack of oxygen because apparently elevators in this world are airtight. And when they were found, Gregory Edgeworth had been shot, and the bailiff, who had a service weapon with him, was accused of murdering Gregory. Yes, an argument could definitely be made that Edgeworth had a motive to kill this guy, and the argument was made, except Edgeworth actually did not kill this guy, so it's kind of irrelevant. Yes, Edgeworth had a motive to kill this guy for acquitting the guy who wronged his father. The Phoenix Wright-ish wrinkle in this case is that Gregory Edgeworth's murder was supposedly solved by summoning the spirit of Gregory Edgeworth. It turns out Maya's mother was also a spirit medium who called Gregory's spirit to ask what happened, and yes, right. Supposedly Gregory said that Yanni Yogi did it, but he was acquitted, so maybe yes, maybe no. It is worth noting that spirits in this game, ghosts are not omniscient. Being dead does not make you any smarter or well-informed than you were when you were alive, and that the murder in question of Gregory Edgeworth occurred when everybody was busy passing out from lack of oxygen, so information here might not be great. The police arrested the guy that Gregory said did it, or at least that they thought Gregory's spirit said did it. The police in this game are not very observant, and he was the one that was acquitted. Nobody can find him. Nobody knows what happened to him. He went to court. He was acquitted basically by, in real world legal terms, he was acquitted by reason of diminished capacity, essentially. And he's vanished. And now the defense attorney in that case is dead. And we proved pretty well that Edgeworth didn't do it, but now we are trying to figure out the fuck happened, how this guy wound up dead, why Edgeworth was in the middle of a lake on a rowboat in the middle of the night on Christmas. And yeah, it's about to get weirder. Yes. The previous day of the trial ended as the judge was about to declare Edgeworth guilty, because in this game, people who are accused are guilty until you prove they're not. And Maya forestalled this verdict by basically shouting at him in the middle of court. She was arrested for contempt, and now she is in the detention center again. Maya. Hey, Nick, it's you! I'm glad Mr. Edgeworth made it through the day okay. It's a relief. Hey, why'd you do that anyway? I don't know. I I just knew I had to do something. I know I'm not the lawyer my sister was. I'm sorry. Maya basically shouted out of frustration that her spiritual powers are not particularly strong right now, and she could not summon up Mia's spirit to help Phoenix, so she just basically shouted her fool head off instead. Well, you did save the trial. Just behave from now on, okay? Okay. And now you think the guy who got acquitted killed the defense attorney. Well, we'll find out. Nobody can find him. At the moment, we know his name was Yanni Yogi, but after that trial, he basically vanished into thin air. Like, nobody can figure out where he went. It's not in any of the files Phoenix had. The defense attorney who had gotten him acquitted in the first place worked for the same firm that Mia used to work for. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, some of the people who are older than 17 and have been to law school don't do too much better. Exhibit A is Winston Payne, the prosecuting attorney from your tutorial case in every single game. Have you been questioned yet?
No, not yet. Detective Gumshoe was here just now. He said, seeing as this is your first offense, we'll let you go after questioning.
Ooh. Oh. And he wanted me to get bail money ready.
You can pay for me, okay?
Huh? How much?
I don't know, I guess they'll send you a bill or something?
Why do I picture giant bales of money every time I hear the word bail? Any luck with Mia?
None.
I can't get through to her at all.
I tried. I really did.
I don't know what to do.
I think I probably shouldn't have stopped my training.
Huh. She sounds like she really did do her best. I should check and see if there are any waterfalls in the local area. Ah, the case started out with Maya asking Phoenix if he knew of any freezing waterfalls in the area, because apparently part of her spiritual training is to go sit in extremely cold water and, I don't know, meditate? Endure? Phoenix thought this was absolutely ridiculous, and his suggestion was to go down to the fire station down the street and ask if they would spray her with the hose. So... she actually took him up on that, but apparently the fireman yelled at her.
I wonder if I'll ever see my sister again.
Oh, poor Maya. Look, the game's spirit medium logic is completely internally consistent, okay? And I know this because it is actually factored into some of the court cases later. You cannot do that unless there are rules to the magic in your world, okay? Alright, well, time to get a move on and figure out what's going on over at Gourd Lake. Gourd Lake is where the murder took place. It's a nature preserve, supposedly home to Gordy, a giant lake monster a la Nessie. We have a newspaper article talking about Gordy to prove it. There are fewer than there were yesterday, but the cops are still around in the park. I wonder if Detective Gumshoe is here today. The hot dog stand selling samurai dogs. In Japanese, these are actually tono-samanju. The steel samurai in Japanese is tono-saman. Tono-sama is a feudal lord. Tono-saman is the superhero version of it, I guess. And manju are these little bun things. They're street vendor food. So yeah, they were tono-samanju in Japanese. And this stand is manned by none other than Larry Butts, who is exactly the shiftless idiot you think he is. He was whining that he didn't get to spend Christmas with his girlfriend Kianse because she's in a photo shoot in Hawaii. Because, you know, otherwise she would totally be hanging around with Larry, right? I haven't seen Larry around today at all. Probably off paying through the nose on a date with the lovely Kianse. Yes, Kianse. Larry is an idiot. He likes to date models. They don't stick around very long. Hey, Detective Gumshoe. Why is my game moving very jerky? Let's see if I can shut down anything else. Hmm? Hmm? Hang on. Something is eating up all of my memory for some reason. I think it's BlueStacks, and I think I can get it shut down. Hang on. This game is not exactly taxing the computer system, and it really, really should not be stuttering for any reason. It's a visual novel. This thing can draw pictures on a couple of screens at the same time. Really, Windows? Where's Task Manager? Yes? No? Okay. Really, Windows, what is up? So, I have to turn off the wireless controller before this will work because Steam is very helpful. I hate it when Steam is helpful. Yes? No? Exit BlueStacks? Come on. Yes, end process, please. Android emulator trying to figure out if I could get some of the Android games to play, basically via OBS so I could play them here. I think I can. I don't know how well it will work. I'm pretty sure BlueStacks is pretending to be like an Android 11 device, but anyway, I have to tinker with it more before I can figure out whether that works or not. But, back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Hey, Detective Gumshoe. Wireless controller. Wireless controller, behave. Hey, pal! The trial today, yes? What about the trial? Well, I was gonna say good show, but it wasn't really all that. Though you did save Mr. Edgeworth, I guess. I just wasn't sure how to thank you, you know? Thanks. Detective Gumshoe, any idea what strategy Von Karma is planning for tomorrow? Sounds like he's bringing in another witness. Another witness? Oh, right. He said something about that in the trial today. There were 2 witnesses. That's Von Karma. He's freaky. I was wondering who that other witness was. Who was it? Sorry, pal. As much as I'd like to, I'm not at liberty to divulge that information. Oh, poor Gumshoe. Right. Right, I wanted to ask you something about Edgeworth. Oh boy, Edgeworth. Okay. According to Detective Gumshoe, ever since Edgeworth lost that last trial to Phoenix, he's basically been wandering around muttering, right, 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 crushing paper coffee cups and so forth. He was not happy with any of that. He's very uncomfortable with all kinds of this stuff. I posted notes for Case 1-3 Turnabout Samurai on the Rado Moon blog, but the conversation at the end of it is fairly infamous, where Edgeworth comes storming into the defense lobby to tell Phoenix not to show his face in court again. Kind of in English, but very, very much in Japanese. It sounds like Edgeworth is trying to make it sound like, I regret that we have met in battle again, this is bringing up much unnecessary discomfort for me, don't show up again. He kind of starts out that way, but it sounds very, very much like a conversation. It sounds less like a conversation between 2 people who hate each other, one of whom is very pissed about losing, and more like a conversation between 2 people who really know each other pretty well, one of whom is coping so badly with something it is making him angry. And the other characters pick up on that, and they're just like, what the hell? Aren't you guys bloody rivals? And Phoenix is like, right now, I guess? And so, yeah, that's where that ended. Edgeworth was very preoccupied by Phoenix, let's just say. And Phoenix, you will find out, has been preoccupied by Edgeworth for like 15 years? What's up? Is he afraid of earthquakes? I never heard anything about that before. Ah yes, a small earthquake hit while we were in the detention center talking to Edgeworth, and Edgeworth curled up in the fetal position and hid under the desk. Phoenix was like, huh, he never did that when he was a kid. Yeah. Mr. Edgeworth doesn't talk about himself too much, see? But there's one thing that's clear as day. Him hating crime the way he does, and him becoming a prosecutor, and him being scared of earthquakes. It all started with that incident. The DL6 incident. Yep, that's the one. 15 years ago, when he saw his father shot before his very eyes. He still feels the pain now. You can see it in his eyes. Grew up together. Kind of. You haven't actually gotten the whole backstory in the game, but Phoenix has referred to knowing him for a while. He knows a previous version of Edgeworth well enough to know that the earthquakes thing is something that happened while they were out of contact. He's like, huh, that never happened before. I wanted to talk to you about Maya Fey. Huh? She's not out on bail yet? That's strange. I told them to let her go as soon as they had the report written up. Man, I don't know what would have happened in that courtroom today if it weren't for her. Seeing her get dragged out by the bailiff? I'll be honest with you, pal. I shed a tear or two. Mr. Edgeworth, he was so moved I saw his lip trembling. Really? Cold as ice, Edgeworth. He was really grateful for what she did, you know? I'm gonna head back to the station. I'll get the report on Maya and get her out of there as soon as I can. Thank you. Oh, wait. I was wondering, how much is bail going to be? Don't worry about that. Mr. Edgeworth is posting the whole amount. What? Edgeworth? Didn't I tell you? He's grateful to her for what she did. Alright, pal. Well, don't forget to go pick her up, okay? Huh. Maybe I can get Edgeworth to pay this month's rent, too. So, Edgeworth is paying Maya's bail, which is very nice of him. It's not necessarily exactly canon, but it's definitely fanon that Edgeworth tends to kind of throw money at problems to make them go away in the practical sense. As far as I know, it's not like hereditary family money. His father was a really successful defense attorney, and he did apparently grow up fairly affluent, but like this level of fancy, roughly filigree coat thing is, it's an adult thing for him. It's very much along the lines of Von Karma, from whom he learned to prosecute. So, yeah. Alright, well, back to retrieve Maya. December 26th, Detention Center, Visitor's Room.
Hey Nick, you finally came! They just finished the paperwork. I'm free to go.
Free at last, eh?
Those interrogators were really mean. They were like, okay, what did you do this time? Like I was some kind of criminal. Can you believe it?
Well, they let you out in the end, didn't they?
Oh, that reminds me. Thanks for bail.
Thank Edgeworth.
Huh?
He posted bail for you. Said he was grateful for what you did.
Mr. Edgeworth did that?
You'll start to note, Phoenix just calls him Edgeworth, but Maya here has started to call him Mr. Edgeworth instead of Prosecutor Edgeworth. It's kind of a theme. People who actually kind of like Edgeworth and are friends with him call him Mr. Edgeworth, whereas everyone else thinks he is absolutely terrifyingly identified with his job, and they refer to him as Prosecutor Edgeworth. And this is actually pretty much a running theme through the Japanese version of it too. Everybody else is Mitsurugi Kenji. Mitsurugi Kenji. Phoenix is just, Naruhodo is just Mitsurugi. And some of the other characters, they default to seeing him as a person before a prosecutor. Most characters don't. Even after he kind of mellows out in later games, he's Prosecutor Edgeworth to most people.
I have to make it up to him. We've got to win this case, Nick.
Alright, well, now that I have my sidekick back,
there aren't many cops around today, are there?
they're probably back at the precinct working up the case against Edgeworth.
Hey, y'all!
This is our investigative reporter who was actually trying to take pictures of a cryptid. This is Lara Hart. Lara in Japanese speaks a dialect called Kansai-ben or Osaka-ben, which is associated with kind of not necessarily poverty, but kind of Hicksville, rural southern. When it's translated into English, it is often rendered as a southern accent or as something like Brooklyn or Chicago or something like that. Something that suggests a less slickly sophisticated urban dweller. She does make a couple of cracks about being able to speak standard in Japanese. She slips back into Kanto dialect, which is the Tokyo area dialect that is used in textbooks and by NHK newscasters and so forth. But yeah, this is Lara Hart. Get to know Lara. Lara will come up in future games. Lara will never go away.
Y'all really did it today.
What did we do now?
No, I'm not complaining. See, I did a little thinking. A little self-reflection, you might say. I realized that being a witness is a mighty big responsibility.
Lara convinced herself that she witnessed a murder when in fact she was looking basically anywhere but the boat.
And I just went up there and started blabbing any old thing that came to mind.
Lara.
So you see, I want to make it up, y'all.
Make it up? She does come up a lot, yes. Well, what did you think of the trial?
To be honest, I was doing it half just to say I've been a witness. Even though I didn't really see anything. Kinda convinced myself I had, though. I'm sorry, I know I caused y'all a lot of trouble. Well, memory is a tricky, vague little thing. Yeah, I sure know that now. I'll be fine the next time I witness a murder.
Spoiler alert. Nope! This is not the last time she gets mixed up in a murder case. I mean the first time you witness a murder. What about Gordy, the lake monster?
Right. Well, the way I figure, the trial's only stoking the flames of Gordy fever. I'll get my exclusive photos and rocket to stardom. Alright, Lotta, you go, girl. I wish I could be an investigative photographer, too.
Finish your spirit medium training first. Making it up. Lotta, what do you mean by making it up to us?
Well, you see... Actually, I got a bit of information for you. What? My phone Karma didn't want me to say nothing about it. What information? Now we're getting to the heart of it. See, I reckon we might be able to do ourselves a little exchange.
Exchange? I thought this was to make it up to us.
Right. I propose a little exchange to make it up to you. But information don't come cheap, my friend. Hey, I see you thinking, my, how unsophisticated these southern folks are. It's written all over your face.
It's not the first or last time somebody says that to Phoenix. Phoenix, my audio is clicking a little bit. Figure out the microphone. Phoenix is apparently hilariously easy to read. A lot of people make that comment, that his emotions are written all over his face. Edgeworth can apparently just get the full sentences out of it, which is absolutely hilarious. They have entire exchanges in court where Phoenix is making horrible faces and Edgeworth is just answering them in words like he's talking. It's great.
Let me tell you, most Southerners are way more sophisticated than you. I'm just the exception, okay? Well, what'll it be? We gonna deal or not? Well, what do we do, Nick? I mean,
Deal, but we don't have anything yet. We don't have any other leads, so I don't think we have a choice here.
okay, how much? Huh? You completely off your rocker? I may not be sophisticated, but I'm not trying to rob the poor. Huh? The only fair exchange for information is information. Listen good. What I need from you is information about Gordy.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! But Gordy doesn't... I mean, Gordy might not exist.
Then bring me proof that shows he don't. I'll be keeping watch from the car, okay? You see something, y'all come to me first, got it?
Okay.
Right. See y'all later.
Yeah. So now in order to get vital information to solve this case, we need to find some proof that a lake monster doesn't exist. Welcome to Phoenix's life.
Okay, Nick, let's get hunting.
Hunting? You don't seriously mean...
Gordy? I sure do.
What about Edgeworth?
We're searching for Gordy for him, Nick. Don't you get it?
Okay, and how exactly do we search for a make-believe monster? Maybe we can find a monster myth specialist? Yeah... I would like to point out, Spatial Rift 47, that Lada doesn't really seem to operate on logic, per se. Maybe in her universe you can prove a negative, or at least make something sound disappointing enough. Oh, that's a thing. What's that?
The Steel Samurai, Nick.
Yo, Maya! Larry, what the heck is that?
Oh, it was my girl Keonce's idea.
She was all, if you like, put this here, it would be like, really cool.
Dude, she gave it to me along with the banner.
Wow!
That's really impressive. She could find those for you.
Well, she knows a lot of people.
And that show's finished now, so she got them for free.
Right. Okay, Adventures in Larryland. Here we go.
Yo, Nick! What happened with Edgy?
Yes, Larry calls him Edgy. Well, we made it through the first day in court, alright. I don't know how good our prospects are from here on, though.
Huh. Hey, Larry, did you know Mr. Edgeworth's secret weakness? He's terrified of earthquakes. He acts like a little boy.
Huh? That's weird.
I don't think he was ever like that in school. No? Really?
Well, we were only in the same class for a little bit. He transferred schools pretty quickly.
Transferred?
Right, when the DL6 incident happened. Doesn't look like Larry knows about it, though. Yes, if we will recall, Larry is also Phoenix's childhood friend. They've been in contact this entire time, for better or for worse. Larry doesn't seem to really have grown up so much as just gotten taller. Hey Larry, when did you get that big, thing?
Huh? Oh, the big guy.
Yeah, I've had that for about a month, yeah?
It's a big hit with the kids.
Why wasn't it there yesterday?
Huh? Huh? Oh, right. The compressor was busted.
Compressor?
Yeah, it's that little unit by my hot dog stand. That's what I used to put air in the Steel Samurai. It broke a little while ago, so I sent it in for repairs.
Oh. And here I thought you'd inflated it by yourself. Yeesh. God, that is a big thing. Doesn't that Steel Samurai look a little out of place? I mean, it's so huge. Guess it's good advertising. Something about this Steel Samurai just doesn't work for me. Huh? Really? It looks pretty well made to me.
Huh! Still a novice, aren't you, Nick?
Really? True connoisseurs like Cody and me don't fall for this kind of stuff. These Steel Samurai fans are obviously in a league of their own. Many, many games from now, you find out that even as an adult, Maya still loves this stuff. She periodically sends Phoenix DVDs that he's supposed to be watching. Let's see. Let's see what the police are up to.
Hey there, pal. What's up? You look out of sorts. Wait, you didn't go and do something that's gonna hurt Mr. Edgeworth's case again.
What do you mean, again?
Whatever. Have a seat, pal. I'm here for you if you need anything. Besides money, that is.
How's the investigation proceeding?
It's not really. We have another meeting coming up. We're supposed to talk about Mr. Edgeworth's motive.
His motive?
See, Mr. Edgeworth's father died in the DL6 incident. And the guy who got the lone suspect declared innocent was the victim in this case. Robert Hammond. They're saying that's why Mr. Edgeworth shot him.
And Edgeworth never talks about his past. Bet they'll drag that out and hit him with it in court tomorrow, too. Poor Mr. Edgeworth.
You gotta admit, it doesn't look good, pal.
Say, Detective Gumshoe, do you know Gordy?
The monster down in Gourd Lake? Not personally, no.
Well, we're looking for it.
Huh? Are you out of your minds? You got time to go wild monster hunting? How about doing a little questioning for me, then?
Oh. Detective Gumshoe is scaring me, Nick.
I told Detective Gumshoe about the deal with Lotta.
Nick! Try telling him sooner next time.
Sorry. I see, pal. Sorry for shouting at you. Okay. I, Detective Gumshoe, will aid your search for Gordy.
Huh?
I'll loan you one of our newest secret weapons for fighting evidence.
Really?
You can take whichever one you like.
Okay, give us the goods.
Hold on now, everything in due time. First, let me show them to you. These are our best and brightest. Introducing secret weapon number 1, Missile.
Missile?
He's a canine police dog, still in training. Missile! Missile! Yeah, boy! Missile, going by the illustration, is actually a Shiba Inu. Shiba Inu is a Japan-specific breed of dog. They're maybe smallish collie size. They have distinctive thick fluffy coats and curly tails. Also very, very expensive. Going by the not entirely canon manga and the creator who started this thing, Edgeworth also has a Shiba Inu. Her name is Pat. Never comes up in the games, but apparently Edgeworth has a dog. Here he is. Hey, he's cute! Look, Nick, cute dog!
Cute dog. And this will help us. Ow. Next, secret weapon number 2, fishing pole. Here, this is my own personal pole. Detective Gumshoe, we're looking for a monster. Yep. How are we supposed to catch a whole sea monster with a fishing pole? Never know till you try, pal. Okay, this next one is the last one. Oh, please, I'm already overwhelmed by our choices. Secret weapon number 3, a metal detector.
Missile is adorable.
I don't know if you ever get the chance to borrow Missile again, but he does come back in further games. Here. Detective Gumshoe, we're looking for something alive. Right! How are we supposed to find it with a metal detector? Hey, you never know, it might have been eating soda cans. Well, which will it be?
I can't make up my mind, Nick. They all seem so perfect.
I can't make up my mind either, for the totally opposite reason. Oh well, suppose it can't hurt to borrow one of them. There's actually a Steam achievement, I think, for borrowing all 3 of these that I didn't get last time. Attach the dog to the fishing pole and tell him to fetch 40. Not quite! There's actually a Steam achievement that I did not get on my previous playthrough of this game, where if you borrow each one of them at least once, you get a prize. So, let's borrow the dog first. Can we borrow Missile? Sure thing, pal. Be good to him.
He's so cute!
Oh boy.
A canine unit in training. Very cute with shiny eyes.
Right. Or one of the other things. Oh, but I gotta take back the last one I lent you. Department policy. Well, take your pick. Which will it be? Can we borrow that flimsy-looking fishing pole? Sure thing, pal. Oh, if it breaks, be sure to dispose of it properly, okay? Right. Detective Gumshoe's personal fishing pole. Sadly flimsy and of dubious utility. It's not even a real fishing pole. It doesn't have a reel or anything. It's just a stick with a line on it. Yeah. The one we actually need is the metal detector. Yeah, sure, pal. And that was, I don't know if you saw it in the corner of the screen, I did get the Steam achievement this time, because I just went straight for the metal detector last time, actually knowing how this game goes. No, actually, according to the walkthrough I have here, if I take the dog and the fishing pole down to Gourd Lake, we get interesting scenes. So let's grab those back. Dog first. Yeah, let's take the dog. Alright. Now for some non-plot advancing hilarity.
Hey, Nick!
Huh?
Missile's been acting strangely.
Missile? Oh, right. That little creature of the detectives.
Hey, I love little doggies! Good boy, good boy! Ah. What's wrong, Missile? It's eating my samurai dogs!
The achievement is called Secret Weapons 3. The samurai dogs.
Wow, he ate every single one. I'm sorry, Larry. Sorry? Sorry, don't pay my bills, Nick. Going to have to this time.
Alright. Okay, well, now that the dog has had lunch, let's give him back to Gumshoe. Fishing pole this time.
Okay, Nick, this looks like a good spot.
A good spot for what?
Time to do some fishing!
She's serious. What are you gonna use for bait?
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. I figured something like this would happen. We should have brought Missile along with us too. At least then we'd have bait.
Nick! How could you?
I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
Some jokes are better left untold.
Oof.
She hit me. Okay, watch this, Nick.
Just try not to reel in any empty cans or boots, okay?
Here we go! My leg! Hey! What are you doing? Sorry, Lotta. Don't tell me y'all are on some film company's payroll. Nick, air.
My poor, poor wallet.
I learned something today. Testifying serious business. That's why I decided not to talk about that case anymore. Huh?
Whoa, didn't you say you had information about this case? Tell us that at least.
Like I said, I'll trade it for the dirt on Gordy. What are you gonna do if Gordy doesn't exist? I'll quit being an investigative photographer. What? After all, I only have one photo to my name so far. Was it a good one? You bet! A UFO! A UFO? Anyway, if I can't get a career making photo this time around, then that's it. I'll quit and go back to school. Huh? So you really are a university student? Yeah, well, I'm taking a break for a bit. Right.
Alright. Back to the precinct. Lotta offer. Oh, the thing with Lotta's camera. Lotta's camera, the reason she has a photo of the two men in the boat at the moment of the murder is because she had set up a camera trying to catch Gordy. Supposedly, when Gordy appears in the lake, it makes a loud booming noise as it comes out of the water, so she has a camera set up to go off at, like, a loud, sharp noises. It happened to go off because of the gunshots on the night of the murder. So now, anytime anybody makes a loud noise around the camera, it just goes click a bazillion times and wastes all of her film. Yeah. Phoenix has had to pay Lotta for several rounds of film so far. Maya set off the camera by sneezing, by tripping, and once with a party popper thing, one of those little explodey confetti things you get for New Year's. Yeah. This is becoming an expensive case. Although it is actually implied quite a bit later that I think Edgeworth is one of the few people who properly pays Phoenix for his defense. Will Powers did, because he's, you know, a working actor and has an income. Larry didn't pay him fuck all for defending him for murder. Some of his other clients are indigent and can't afford it. Yeah, but apparently Edgeworth does insist on paying him at some point. I don't think Phoenix asks for payment, because he's kind of obsessed, but yeah, a lot of his clients don't bother. Okay, the metal detector is the one we actually need to advance the plot. Not sure what we're gonna find with this. Remember, you're hunting for a monster. Anything is possible. Anything. Right. Back to the public beach and the woods. And now, to the boat rental shop. The last time Phoenix and Maya were out here, it was completely deserted, no sign of anybody anywhere around. It's a little shack where you can rent the rowboats that go out onto Board Lake. Presumably one of the rowboats was used in the murder because nobody's brought forth any evidence that somebody brought their own rowboat to the lake.
It's always so quiet here. I wonder if the boat shop is closed for good.
Well, with the murder on the lake and all, they're probably just taking a vacation till it blows over.
I get it. Nick! It's beeping! The metal detector's found something!
Sure is loud enough about it. Whatever it is, it must be in those bushes. Go check it out, Maya.
Why do I have to check it out? Nick! Look!
Huh? An air tank. Huh. The valve looks broken.
I thought it was Gordy.
Maya, first of all, why would Gordy be in the bushes? And second of all, why would a metal detector react to a sea monster?
Oh.
Huh? There's something wrapped around this air tank. It looks like a string of flags?
Well, we might as well take it with us now that we found it.
It's heavy. An empty air tank. The valve is open and a banner of flags is wrapped around it. Oh! You know where we saw a string of flags before? Mister! Hey Larry, you know anything about this? What? An air tank? What about it? Larry, I wanted to ask you about this tank. Is this air tank yours? Why do I have a thing like that? Look, see how there's a string of flags around the tank valve? It's just like the string of flags around your steel samurai there. Must be a coincidence. There's strings of flags everywhere these days. Like elementary schools. And used car dealerships. Look, why would I need a tank anyway? To inflate something? You used this to inflate that, didn't you? Inflate what? What else? That big puppy steel samurai.
Why would you go asking me a question like that?
Looks like I hit the nail on the head.
Right.
Actually, see, the compressor I always used was on the fritz. So I tried using the tank to inflate it just once. And, it didn't go so well. As I suspected. It didn't go so well. Yeah. Do you think you could be a little more specific?
Come on! Look, it's embarrassing, so I really don't want to talk about it. Tell us! Tell us!
Oh, the girl asked. Fine. Whatever. It's like I said, the compressor was busted. So I took the tank and I tried to fill the samurai up with that.
And then...
Yeah. The valve busted open and made this incredible noise. And that tank there took off like a rocket. It took my poor deflated steel samurai with it.
What? Off into Gourd Lake?
Sure scared me out of my gourd, that's for sure.
So the tank and the steel samurai you were trying to fill up flew away. What happened next?
Well, all that happened on the 20th or so. The 20th? A week ago. You know, as far as I could see, the tank went flying out into the lake. So I went out every night in a boat looking for it. I mean, Kiyonse gave me that steel samurai after all.
And when did you find it?
Just the night before last. Flew way out there. Took me 4 whole days to find it. The night before last was the night of the murder. Sorry for not telling you, Nick. Actually, I was here on the night of the murder. But, you know, I went home before midnight.
So you didn't know about what happened?
Nah.
That's too bad.
It's not all bad. We've solved one mystery at least.
A mystery?
Maybe we should go tell her. Yep. Let's go squash Lotta's dreams.
Well, Mr. Lawyer, I've got the info y'all need. Y'all got the scoop on Gordy for me yet?
Lotta. There is no such thing as Gordy.
What? How can y'all be so sure? Really, Nick? Y'all got some proof Gordy don't exist?
The proof that Gordy doesn't exist is here. Of course I have proof. No lawyer worth his badge would make a claim without proof to back it up. Look, here's the proof that Gordy doesn't exist.
Larry's air tank? What are y'all doing with an air tank?
This is Gordy.
Excuse me? What exactly are you saying, Nick?
There's a stand near here, a hot dog stand. There's a giant inflatable samurai doll there. About a week ago, an idiot, who happens to be a friend of mine, tried to fill it. He used this air tank, and when the valve blew, the tank flew into the lake. Apparently, it made a pretty loud bang when it flew.
A bang?
The tank, along with the still deflated samurai, fell into the lake. At the same time, a couple was taking a photograph of the lake. This photo.
Wait. So, you're saying that Gordy is really the Steel Samurai? Well, that's a fine way to ruin a gal's dreams.
I'm sorry, Lotta.
No, it's okay. You win. I'll give you your info like I promised. Poor Lotta. I learned something in today's trial, that's for sure. Testifying is a serious business. That's why I decided not to talk about that case anymore. Huh?
Whoa, didn't you say you had information about the case? Tell us that, at least.
Like I said, I'll trade it for the dirt on Gordy.
Do I have to... So, tell us this information you have.
Promise is a promise, I guess. I overheard the cops around here saying something about the witness tomorrow. They said he's the caretaker of the boat rental place up the path here.
Boat rental?
There's someone there? I mean, it looks so deserted. Just an old guy living all by himself. Y'all should go check it out. Thanks, Lotta. We will. Let's get cracking, Nick. Hold on.
Something else?
Yeah, the night of the murder. My camera clicked twice, you know? Wait, so you have another photo? Well... yeah, but there's nothing in it at all. Just the lake. I figured it wouldn't be much use as evidence, so I kept it to myself. Well, it might not be helpful at all, but... here, take it.
Alright, so at 11:50 p.m. the lake was apparently empty. Good to know, I guess?
Bye now. Y'all take care. Time for me to pack up and leave. Poor Lotta.
It's all Larry's fault. The legend still lives on, I guess.
The legend?
Yeah, the legend of Larry, familiar to all who know him for any length of time. When something smells, it's usually the butts.
Huh. Someone should whip that butts into shape.
Alright, well, off to the boathouse again.
Hey, Nick! This is the boat shop that Lotta was talking about.
You're right. Doesn't seem to be anyone around at all.
Well, let's go check it out anyway.
Caretaker's shack. Meg! That you? Hey, is that Keith with you? Where have you two been? I've been worried sick.
Nick? You handle this.
Oh, I think I'll leave this one up to you, Maya. Meg!
Yes?
Finally made up your mind, have you?
My mind?
You'll run the pasta shop when I'm gone?
Pasta?
Glad to hear it, glad to hear it. You make your old man proud. When you kids left the house, I didn't know what to think. How am I supposed to keep this place running an old man like me? Holly, the kids are home.
Oh! Oh! Nick! What was that?
A parrot. The one on that perch. Keith! Yes? I leave the wet noodle in your capable hands, sonny.
Nick? What's the wet noodle?
Based on the available evidence, I'd say it's the name of his pasta shop. That's a relief, isn't it, Polly? Yep.
He fell asleep.
I guess he's relieved. Okay. Well, let's see what, if anything, we can get out of this dude. A pasta shop?
To think the wet noodle will live on when I'm gone. My father started it, you know, so that makes you two the third generation. Meg,
Yes?
tomorrow we'll start with the secrets of dough tossing.
Dough tossing?
You too, Keith.
Yes?
You'll be the best pasta wrangler the West has ever seen.
Pasta wrangler? The West? Isn't pasta from Italy?
Meg!
Yes?
You know the best pasta's always been made west of the Rockies, don't you?
Right, of course. Everybody knows that. Nick? Huh? How long do we have to keep up this all-in-the-family charade? This old man must know something about the murder. We're not leaving until we find out what that is. This is a boat rental shop, right?
What are you talking about? This here's the Palace of Pasta, the wet noodle. Though now that you mention it, we haven't gotten many orders for spaghetti lately. All the kids come up and say, "Yo, dude, we want to ride in one of your boats." That's why I keep them boats out there. Youngsters these days, darned if I understand them.
I'm pretty confused myself. Nick, this isn't going anywhere. But this old man is the witness tomorrow, right? We've got to find some way of getting information out of him. Well, show him some shiny objects? Huh?
That's a lawyer's badge.
Yes, it is. I don't believe it. This old guy is the first person to recognize my badge.
I get it.
Huh?
Yep, I got you figured out now. You're not Keith!
Nick! Now's our chance to clear things up. Sir? No, I'm not Keith. And I'm not Meg either. We're here investigating a murder that took place on this lake the other night. Please help us.
A lawyer, huh?
Please, mister.
Alright, I'll help. But on one condition.
What's that?
When this case is over and done, you'll run the wet noodle.
Right. Well, yeah, so he's half in reality. Okay, we promise. Nick! Are you sure about this? Hey, anything to get this case solved. Also, who wouldn't want to eat Phoenix noodles? I guess so.
That's my boy! Good for you, Keith!
Wait, didn't I just say...
You too, Meg!
Yes?
You'll bring a tear to your old man's eye, you know. Now, what was that you wanted to know? Speak up, Polly.
Now he's talking to the bird again. How do we get him to talk to us? You know, what's so special about this bird? Wow!
What an amazing parrot that is. Good morning. Hello? It ignored me.
What? You forgot Meg? You gotta call her name first.
Her name?
Is the parrot gonna be a witness? You know! The witness for tomorrow actually is the caretaker of the boat shop, so we're gonna get to go through this again on the stand, just so you know. Holly, how you been? See?
Neat. So the parrot's name is Polly.
Parrot added to the court record.
Too bad all she can say is hello.
Well, Polly can say lots of things. You just need to know the secret words.
The secret words?
My memory's gotten worse of late. That's why I just tell everything important to old Polly here. Everything important?
Huh. I wonder. Polly! What's the number to the safe? Alright!
Hey! Polly! Watch it, will ya?
See, Nick? All it takes is a little clever thinking.
And a criminal mind.
Quick, Nick! Write that number down!
Hey, don't get me involved in your little heist schemes. Let's see.
Polly! Polly! What's your name? Polly! Cute!
Maya's found a new friend. You won't be needing that badge to run a pasta shop. Pass it. I think I'll hold on to it if you don't mind.
Oh.
Polly here's my only friend in the world. Isn't that right, Polly? Yep. There is at least one more conversational option. Here we go. Yep, I've seen this. You know something about this, sir? Heath. Yes? It's okay. You can call me Dad. Dad, you know something about this? Yep. The other night, out on the lake.
Yes? Yes?
I know all about that. I seen it.
What? Tell us! Tell us what you saw!
Well, I suppose. Since you're taking over the shop and all. There we go. I forget the time, but it was pretty dark outside.
Probably night. Yep. It was after midnight, but okay. Then I heard this bang! So I looked outside. Then I heard another one. Bang! A little while later, this boat comes back. Then a young man walked by my window here. He was muttering something to himself. Yep.
What did he say?
Yep. I forgot. I'll remember tomorrow by court time, promise.
We need to know earlier than that.
You know what? Eh? Little Terry was just here.
Terry?
Yep, that kid next door. You always used to make him cry, remember? He was wearing this tattered old coat. Got himself some whiskers growing out of his face.
He must be talking about Detective Gumshoe.
He comes up and tells me to come down to court tomorrow.
Really? Somehow I don't think we're gonna get much useful information from this guy. Maya, maybe we should be leaving. I think you're right. Oh wait! I had one more question. Huh? Polly! Polly! Have we forgotten something? Don't forget DL6! What? Huh? What did she just say, Nick? One more time, Polly. Don't forget DL6! What? The DL6 incident? Hey, mister! I mean, Dad! Oh, this is getting weird. Who is this old guy? Why would that bird Polly know about DL6? We have to figure out who that old man is. Oh? What? He locked the door! From the other side. Who could that old man be? I think I need to do a little more research on this DL6 incident. Maybe I should ask Detective Gumshoe. Ask the bird. In this game, you can only talk to people that the talk option appears for. So if there's not specifically an option to talk to the bird, you have to figure out some combination of talk, examine, and present to other creatures in the room to get that conversation to trigger. It's one of those things where occasionally it's not obvious how to do that, but you can usually brute force it by just figuring out who's there and showing them literally everything in your inventory until something happens. Yeah, it's kind of the visual novel equivalent of Guess the Parser from interactive fiction games. You can brute force Phoenix Wright games. You don't usually have to in the cases, like the court cases. It's usually obvious enough what you need to do that you can figure it out in a couple of tries. I know. Yell it. Phoenix is still slightly convinced that his life is going to be kind of normal. It's not, and he gets better about just launching himself at the weird in later games, but you know, for now, he was trying to cross-examine the human witnesses first. Excuse me. Got to remember to drink things when I am talking this much. But you noticed that Maya cheerfully cross-examined the parrot for him, so that eventually got done. Alright, Gumshoe. Or shall I say, Terry. What did you say to the old man there? Hey pal, long time no see. You don't look so happy. What's wrong this time? Actually, we wanted to ask you something. Yeah? You know the boat rental shop down at Gourd Lake? Oh yeah. The old man who runs it is appearing as a witness in court tomorrow, right? Huh? How'd you... That was supposed to be top secret.
Do you know who that old man is, Detective?
Actually, I don't. He's a bit of an odd bird. I haven't been able to get a straight answer out of him. I decided first that he wasn't persuasive enough to stand and testify as a witness. That's why we called Ms. Lotta Hart yesterday. As for who he is, we have absolutely no idea.
Huh. Sounds suspicious.
Detective Gumshoe, please, help us. Huh?
We need to know about the DL6 incident.
That was when Edgeworth's father died. I can't help but think that it has something to do with this current case. To tell the truth, I don't know much about DL6 either. Mr. Edgeworth forbade us from reading the file. So, I'm afraid I can't show them to you either.
What?
However, if you can convince me somehow that the DL6 incident is related to this case, well, I guess I'd consider opening the file up.
Well...
we do have this bird. What's that? A parrot? The old man at the boat rental shop's parrot. The parrot knew about that incident. That incident? DL6.
What? Holly, have we forgotten something?
Don't forget DL6!
Huh?
I'm pretty sure that old man must have taught her that word. Yeah, but how would that old man know about the DL6 incident? I mean, Phoenix is not above doing these things, okay? Bringing the bird into the police station is... yeah, he would. He absolutely would. But in this case, he's just told Gumshoe about it. Wait, what if that old man was connected to DL6?
Nick? You think he might be?
I getcha. Sounds like you need information on the DL6 incident. Through there is the station's records room. I'll give you special permission to go in and find what you need.
Oh, right! Way to go, Detective Gumshoe! Okay, Nick, to the records room.
I guess it's time we faced Edgeworth's past. Records room.
Wow! It's amazingly dusty.
10 years of files and 10 years of dust, I guess. You think the old man heard Edgeworth muttering, "Don't forget DL6," and told his bird this phrase to remember it for him? That's actually a pretty good guess. We will find out eventually in court. But yeah, just the fact that the bird has connected all this to DL6 means that Gumshoe is convinced we need to look at the records, which is all we kind of needed for right now.
Let's find that DL6 stuff quick.
15 years ago, both me and Edgeworth were 9 years old. We were almost through with 4th grade when he suddenly transferred.
Because of DL6? Nick! I found out where the file is!
Oh! Thanks.
Just let me know what you want to know about from the... Just let me know what you want to know about the DL6 incident. I'll go get the right file.
Well, first I have to get a handle on the main facts. Like a summary.
Right. Summary. Found it! Here you go.
So December 28th, 2001. This is one of the few solid dates you ever get in the series. Like, ever. Most of the time they just give you a day of the year and then you just kind of have to guess. But yeah, this is one of the few solid dates you ever get anywhere in the series to pin the timeline down. So supposedly, when the game came out, I think it was in 2001? Someplace pretty close to that. Basically, the timeline of this game that is happening currently right now is supposed to be 2016. Which makes it all the more hilarious that everybody apparently has Nokia brick phones or flip phones if they're super fancy. Yeah. And that apparently phones don't internet. Yeah. So, that's where we are. That's exactly 15 years ago from the day after tomorrow. So in 2 days, the case is closed. The incident took place in the elevator of the district courthouse. What? Is this the same district courthouse where we're holding the trial now? Looks like it. Yeah, hard to predict the invention of the smartphone if you don't realize that every nerd out there watches Star Trek. Honestly. Given the people who work on technology, could we ever really have not invented the iPad? Come on. There was a large earthquake at 2 p.m. on that day. Part of the court building collapsed and all of the lights went out. Wow, that was some earthquake. At the time, 3 people were trapped in the elevator. It took 5 hours for them to be rescued. 5 hours? Ooh. That would be scary like that in the dark. There was a lack of oxygen in the elevator and the survivors were unconscious. Okay, in real life, elevators are nowhere near airtight. They're just not. Not even in a courthouse, so 5 hours without power, yeah, maybe the emergency lights would have run down by that point, but they all would have had air. Just, if you ever get stuck in an elevator, this is not actually a thing you need to be afraid of. The survivors. One of the 3 in the elevator had been shot. In the heart. That was Mr. Edgeworth's father, wasn't it? He said that his father was shot before his very eyes. So, Miles Edgeworth was one of the other passengers in that elevator. Do you have data on the victim, Edgeworth's father? Yeah, hold on. Victim. Here! Found it! Gregory Edgeworth, 35, defense attorney. Or, Gregory Edgeworth, 35, defense attorney. If he were still alive, he'd be 50. Very funny. Shot through the heart and you're to blame. That's kind of what this case hinges on. Who is to blame for this? He'd lost that day's case in court and got in the elevator with his son, Miles. Miles? Miles Edgeworth, of course. So he was in the elevator with his father. Notably, there are some people in universe who call him Miles. There's, like, I think 2? And you don't see them until the Ace Attorney Investigations games when you actually get into people who... Also people who knew him when his father was alive. So, you know, other people who've known him since he was 9. Why Phoenix calls him Edgeworth, I'm not entirely sure. That's not actually the way school children would have addressed each other. That just seems to be a thing with the 2 of them. Why was... Because Miles absolutely idolized his father and went to court with him whenever possible. Yeah, so this still would have been... I don't think it's a school holiday in Japan, but probably his father would have just brought him in because. Edgeworth absolutely idolized his father, and you find out that he wanted to be a defense attorney when he grew up. And then somehow this happened. You get to play as Gregory Edgeworth very briefly in a flashback case in one of the investigations games, and he does actually mention his son. Apparently Miles was kind of a geeky little kid, and he was afraid that his son wouldn't make any friends at school. So, yeah. The awkward sounds like a book thing was just that's been since always. This wasn't trauma from the case. Edgeworth was just always like that. And apparently, little 9-year-old bookish Professor Edgeworth made friends with Phoenix, being like that. So none of that is new. The earthquake thing, that's kind of new to Phoenix. But yeah, no, the standoffish awkwardness, big brain kind of stuff is not. That was also 9-year-old Edgeworth.
So he was in the elevator with his father. From the angle of the bullet and other evidence, it couldn't have been a suicide. The murder weapon, a pistol, was found in the elevator. The pistol had been fired 2 times. Where have I heard that before? Huh? Oh, it sounds just like this current case. What is going on here? Got any data on the suspect in there? That would be the guy that my mom got arrested.
Yeah, Maya's mother was... The police were so stumped in this case that they brought in a spirit medium, Maya's mother. Now, we don't have any record of exactly what Edgeworth's spirit said. When Maya channels Mia, Mia is just there, and you can talk to her. You don't really see any other spirit channelings in this series that are not, you know, members of the Fae family channeling other members of the Fae family, so they all kind of know what's going on. So I'm not entirely sure how spirit channelings of people who don't really expect to be called back from the dead go. We've only gotten second and third hand recountings of what Gregory Edgeworth's testimony was. According to Marvin Grossberg, who runs the firm where Mia used to work and also where Hammond used to work, apparently Gregory Edgeworth accused the bailiff in the elevator with him, Yanni Yogi, but there's no like direct transcript of that and we don't see it in flashbacks.
Hold on. This is it.
The man arrested as a suspect in DL6 was Yanni Yogi? He was a clerk in the court, apparently. They say he's a bailiff later, and if he's a clerk, he wouldn't have had a service weapon, which he did, which is the gun they found.
So he must have been the third person in the elevator. Well, then he had to have done it.
But he was found innocent, thanks to his defense lawyer, Robert Hammond.
Hammond. The victim in our case.
Right. The suspect, Mr. Yogi, was oxygen deprived, so much so that he had brain damage. He lost all memory of being in the elevator. After he was declared innocent, he disappeared.
Where could Yogi have gone to, I wonder?
He may be closer than we think. I guess I know generally what happened in DL6 now. I still don't know what sort of impact the whole thing had on Edgeworth. Bad! Spoiler alert, it had a bad impact on Edgeworth. It had a terrible impact on Edgeworth, as you might reasonably guess.
Nick, are we gonna take the whole file? It's too much. We'll never get it out.
You're right. How about we just take what we think we'll need? So hopefully we've got all the information we could get out of the DL6 case file. Right. That's probably all we'll be able to find here. Now all that's left is the trial tomorrow. I wonder how Dad will do testifying in court. To be continued! Alright, I'm going to take a short break at this point. I'm going to get another bottle of water so that my voice doesn't go out completely, and probably find something for me and the rats to eat. Just everything thanks to your mother. Well, you and your mother can both watch the replay of this when it goes up on YouTube. I have Twitch saving the video on demand, and they actually have an export to YouTube feature that I just use to dump it straight onto the YouTube channel. The link is... Let's see... Dear Twitch, can I type in your window now? There you go. Rado Hoon. those are the notes for the cases that we've already. The notes for the cases we have already completed, and at the top of each of those entries has a link to the YouTube playlist where all of this is going up. So yeah, because I'm that kind of nerd, I'm going to saving content, and I'm going to take a brief break to let my voice recover a little bit, eat something, probably feed the rats a thing because that's why the rats exist. I will be back in, I don't know, like 5 minutes? So, you know, enjoy the spooky stars thing. Enjoy my Halloween backdrop. I'll be back in a bit. Yeah, okay, singing the song of their people. We also live, like, next to a college campus, so it's probably not terrible alcohol poisoning at 1 p.m. on a Saturday, but you never know. In any case, back to Phoenix Wright. December 27th, 10 a.m., District Court, Courtroom number 3. Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Miles Edgeworth. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Very well, apparently the prosecution is also ready. Who's the judge here, anyway? Mr. Von Karma, your opening statement. Very well. No opening statements, so... Not so fast, Judge. I was taking a meaningful pause before speaking. Right, of course. A prediction. Today's trial will end 3 minutes from now. Order! Order! Mr. Von Karma, what is the meaning of your statement just now? Ah, must you question everything? It will be over in 3 minutes. We have no time to waste. I'll call my witness now. Right. I call my witness, my decisive witness, to the stand. It's that mysterious boat shop owner. Witness, state your profession. I'm the proprietor of the restaurant, The Wet Noodle at Board Lake. And I also rent boats. The night of the incident, you were in the boat rental shop, correct? The defense does not get to make an opening statement. Frankly, if the defense made an opening statement, it would mostly be kind of sputtering, because the defense at this point has no idea what his case is going to be. Edgeworth didn't do it isn't really a persuasive argument so much as just an assertion. Yep, I was. Please testify. Wait a second. We still haven't heard who this old guy is. Wait a minute! The witness hasn't stated his name yet. Because I did not ask him, Mr. Wright. Bah! I have predicted this trial will end in 3 minutes. Stop asking trivial questions and cooperate. Yeah, right. The witness will state his name. Well, I'm not really sure. Yep. What do you mean? My, memory. Your Honor, the witness does not remember anything beyond the last several years. Ergo, he cannot recall his own name. He can't recall, you say? Yes, but the incident in question took place 3 days ago. He can testify. Very well. Let's hear his testimony then, shall we? Witness?
was the night of the 24th, just after midnight. Yep. I was in the restaurant where I, rent boats, as usual. Then I heard a bang! Yep. When I looked out the window, I saw a boat just floating on the lake. Then I heard another bang. Just about then, the boat comes back to shore and a man walks by my window.
Very well, I'd like to begin the cross-examination. His name is not Robert Paulson. There is nothing to question in my witness's testimony. Ergo, no need for cross-examination. Besides, there are only 10 seconds left before our 3 minutes are up. Judge, your verdict, now! Yes. Mr. Wright? What are you saying? Of course I'll cross-examine the witness. Very well, you may begin. Excuse me, Mr. Von Karma? 3 minutes just passed. I see. Well then, let's just take our time. You may cross-examine the witness. Alright. Okay, it's the 24th, Christmas Eve, just after midnight. He was in the shack. He heard a bang. Okay. Looked out the window, saw a boat floating on the lake. Then heard another bang. So that's consistent with Lotta's camera going off twice. Just about then the boat comes back to shore and a man walks by my window. Well, yeah. Yeah, Big Matt, Von Karma's kind of dramatic. Just a wee bit. By your window?
Yep, by my window. Right outside the window of my little shack.
And could you see the man's face?
Well, the fog was pretty darn thick, but he was right there in front of me. I saw him.
Well, this is a rather important detail. Please add it to your testimony. I have a bad feeling about this.
That man was the defendant. He was saying, I can't believe he's dead.
If I know Von Karma, he spent time preparing his witness. I'm not going to find contradictions very easily in this testimony. It's tough playing your lawyer. Yeah, well, that's a new statement in, Yeah. Really? The defendant? Are you sure? Are you sure? Uh-oh. Dad!
Dead certain, Keith. He said I can't believe he's dead as he was walking by, too.
Witness, are you sure the person you saw was Miles Edgeworth?
It was him! That Edgeworth boy!
Well, that was probably not good for our case. Like, at all. This sounds like decisive evidence indeed. I see no room for doubt. Von Karma. He lured me into cross-examining so he could set me up for a fall.
Nick! I don't like the way things are going here. Everyone in the courtroom is glaring at us.
I'd better act quicker, this trial is gonna be over. I mean... raise an objection? That's kinda what Phoenix is here for. Your Honor! We proved in yesterday's trial that it could not have been Edgeworth who fired that gun. Mr. Wright, are you referring to the fingerprints from Edgeworth's right hand found on the gun? And the photograph showing a man firing with his left hand? Exactly! That is easily explainable. He could have wiped his prints after he fired. You are ignoring the truth of the matter here. Everything in this witness's testimony is true. You know, at this point, if Von Karma claimed that the sky was up, I would double check. He's not a nice man. The judge is lost in thought. What should I do? Shout? Your Honor! This witness claims that Edgeworth said, "I can't believe he's dead." That his word is all we have. If he were telling a lie... Mr. Wright. In a court of law, the evidence tells all. Apparently, you have yet to even realize this basic fact. If you say his testimony is a lie, show us proof. Ark. Nick, do we have evidence? It's no good. There's nothing I can do. Are you sure? To be honest, I don't know what to do anymore. Please. You hear me, sis? Please. We need your help. Nick needs you. 3 minutes was perhaps too high an expectation. However, 15 minutes isn't bad. This must be a new record. Enough! The witness may leave the stand. This court sees no reason to further prolong the trial. Nor is there any need for more time to decide the case against the defendant. This case is extremely clear. I see no room for misinterpretation of the facts. What? No! This court finds the defendant, Mr. Miles Edgeworth. The accused will surrender to the court immediately, to be held pending trial at a higher court within a month from today's date. That is all. This court is adjourned. Wait! Who was that just now? Me! What? Rory? What are you doing here? Listen! You gotta listen to me! I was there in the park the night of the murder. I wasn't sure about it until just yesterday. But today I remembered it! Remembered what? Guilty, so he gets another trial. I am not sure if this is down to the localization or if this is some quirk of the Japanese justice system. I think what they're getting at is basically remanded for sentencing. So the verdict in this case would be guilty, but another court has to figure out exactly what to do about it. It's hinted several times, and in at least one case confirmed, that a lot of these murder trials Phoenix is handling are they're capital cases. At least one person is confirmed to have been executed because they were found guilty in a murder trial. So I think what that's actually getting at is that somebody's declared guilty, and then they gotta figure out what to do with the guy. There's another couple of murder cases where it's implied the guilty party would spend life in prison, so I think the sentencing court is a separate one. I don't know all that much about the Japanese trial system, though, so this could just be some random shit they made up for the game. In any case, back to your regularly scheduled idiocy with Larry. Larry, if you missed it, Oddity, is Phoenix's childhood friend. When you first meet him, at first glance he appears to be just another shiftless idiot, but once you get to know him, you realize that he's also an irresponsible lech. Larry is a thorn in everyone's side forever. And apparently Larry was in the park the night of the murder, so here we go. The gunshot! I heard it too! Order! What is the meaning of this? The verdict has been decided. I call for adjournment. One moment, Mr. Von Karma. So you say you heard a gunshot? Yeah, I did. A gunshot that night. I was sitting here in the audience listening to the testimony. Then I realized something he said was different from what I remember. Anyhow, I can't just sit here and let you call Edgy a murderer. It's just not right. I'll testify. Let me testify. Order! Order! Well, this is the first time something has happened like this in my court. I'm not quite sure how to proceed. Judge, you've already given your decision. The trial is over.
Nick! This is it? Larry's given us one final chance at this.
She's right. If only it wasn't Larry. He could make things even worse.
Mr. Edgeworth was just declared guilty, Nick. It doesn't get any worse.
You're right. Okay. Your Honor, if there's another witness, it is our duty to hear him speak. Yeah, I think this can theoretically happen in a Japanese court. Their system is inquisitional rather than argumentative, for the most part. It's not that each side has picked a theory of the crime and has to argue it in front of the judge or a jury. It's that each side is coming at the case from a specific viewpoint, and you're supposed to figure out exactly what happened. So, I think you can do this in Japanese courts. You really can't do this in American courts. You need to it's part of the process of discovery. You need to tell everybody. Make sure that everybody in court knows what evidence you're using and what witnesses you'll be calling. Obviously, Edgeworth has already been declared guilty. Larry can't make him guiltier. I mean, Larry can certainly make a fool of himself in open court, and he's going to, because he always does. But, yeah, guilty is guilty. He can't actually lose the trial any harder. Right here, right now. A waste of time. The verdict cannot be overturned. Allow me to speak my opinion. In all court proceedings, it is our duty to prevent an inaccurate verdict. In order to make sure no mistake has been made, every witness should be heard. What is this? I withdraw my previous verdict of guilty. Mr. Von Karma, I order you to call this new witness to testify. Now. What? The court will adjourn for a 5-minute recess. After that, we will hear this new witness. Court is adjourned. That was too close. Sorry to keep you on the edge of your seat like that, Edgeworth. I've seen worse. Yeah, right, Edgeworth. You're sweating bullets. I just wonder what Larry plans to say in there. Larry was at the lake that night? Yes? He said he went looking for the steel samurai balloon that flew into the lake.
Oh, right. And he found the balloon in the air tank that night.
Yeah. Hey, Edgeworth. You say something, right? Yeah, a lot of things. You seem out of it. What's wrong? It's nothing.
Mr. Edgeworth, there's something I've been meaning to ask you.
What's that?
Why are your fingerprints on the murder weapon?
Oh. When he fell into the lake, I went into a daze. I couldn't understand what had happened. I couldn't think straight. Then I saw the pistol lying on the floor of the boat in front of me. I picked it up without thinking. Didn't have a reason, really.
I see.
Right. Yeah? This might be our chance. Our chance? Von Karma has only ever run perfect trials. Perfect trials? Perfectly prepared witnesses. Perfectly complete evidence. That's the secret to his success. This is the first time he's ever had to deal with something unexpected. He has to let someone he hasn't even talked to testify before the court. And that someone is Larry. What are you getting at? It's likely his testimony will be full of holes, Wright.
That's right, Nick. No 10-minute trial this time. We'll milk this one for all it's worth.
Hey, it was 15 minutes. 15! Everything's on Larry now. What's wrong, seriously? Well, Edgeworth has been pretty with it most of the time. He comes off pretty prickly, but on the flip side, that also means he's got remarkable sang-froid in stressful situations. And he is a prosecuting attorney. He does trials all the time. He's not usually in the dock, but Edgeworth is actually really good at keeping a handle on his feelings the vast majority of the time. He's kind of really good at repression. In any case, the fact that he looks super distracted right now it means that something other than a court case has got his brain all tangled up. Also, point out, as well as Edgeworth can read Phoenix's face, Phoenix is surprisingly good at reading Edgeworth. Other people don't seem to have any idea what the hell he's thinking, but Phoenix can just look at him and go, what's the matter with you? So, December 27th, 10:35 a.m., District Court. Alright. Court is now back in session. Witness, please testify to the court about everything that you saw on the night of December 24th.
Right! Leave it to me!
Please, Larry, don't mess this one up. I hate to admit it, but you're our last chance. Von Karma didn't even have time to prep his witness. I just hope Edgeworth is right about this being our big break. Alright, Larry, what sort of word vomit are you gonna spew this time?
That night I was out in a boat on the lake. I was looking for something and I found it. So I quietly slipped the boat back in at the rental shop dock. Then, just as I was thinking about going home, I heard this bang. I looked out over the lake, but I didn't see a boat. So after I heard that single gunshot, I went home.
That was an unusually vague testimony even for this court. In any case, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor.
What's wrong, Nick?
It's Larry. I have no idea what he's gonna say if I press him. I'm a little scared.
Well, we've come this far. There's no way to go forward, Nick.
Alright. So he was out, looking for his steel samurai balloon. Honestly, you don't have to press him on all of this stuff, but Larry's hilarious. Something wrong, Mr. Wright? There were so many things wrong I don't know where to begin.
11 when I went out in the boat. By that time, everyone had gone home for the night. So I waited until the coast was clear, so to speak.
And why were you out on a boat at such a late hour? Looking for something?
Yeah.
Mr. Butts, what was it you were looking for? What the witness was searching for is irrelevant. Most likely he was hunting for this Gordy. That's surprisingly close to the truth, in a sense. This is all irrelevant. Let's get it over with. Around what time was that?
Well, let's see. I figure I was out searching for about an hour. I guess it was around 12? Yeah.
You're not sure?
Hey! Don't give me that face! I'm not some sort of human sundial, okay?
People use watches these days, Larry. Where did the sound come from?
Yeah, well, I wasn't too sure about that. I looked around, you know?
Did you look at the lake?
Yeah, I looked.
Wasn't there a boat on the lake?
Order! Order!
Well, Mr. Butts?
Whoa, whoa! Everybody just calm down, okay? I mean, it was real foggy that night. I'm not sure whether there was a boat out there or not.
Oh, okay. No problem. That's just the most important part of this case. So after I heard that single gunshot, I went home. Well, literally the one useful thing Lotta said on the stand was that there were 2 gunshots. Wait a sec, Larry.
What?
You only heard 1 bang? You're sure?
That's what I said.
But Ms. Lotta Hart testified yesterday that she heard 2 bangs. And the old man just now said the same thing. They both heard 2 gunshots that night.
Huh?
Were you even listening? Were you paying attention at all to what they said?
Yo, Nick, please.
Huh?
You know, something's been bothering me. I'm a witness, see? I'm like a customer here. So you gotta treat me nice and stuff, okay?
Mr. Butts.
What?
You only heard 1 gunshot? Are you sure?
To tell you the truth, I'm not sure.
Not sure. How could you not be sure?
Yeah, well, I might have missed the other gunshot. I was, listening to something else.
Something else?
My radio, dude, with my headphones.
What?
Order, and stop that booing.
Mr. Butts, you were listening to the radio with your headphones.
Yeah, so what? Is that a crime? Listen to my radio. Everybody listens to the radio. What's the big deal?
Mr. Von Karma, your opinion? Waste of time. I do not accept this witness nor his shoddy testimony. Well, Mr. Wright, should he continue? As tempting as it is to just bang my head on the desk and send Larry home, we should probably let him keep talking on the off chance that he has something to contribute to this court, or society, or whatever. Your Honor, please allow the witness to continue his testimony. Nothing is more pitiful than a lawyer who doesn't know when he's lost. Very well, Mr. Butts. Please give your testimony and be sure to include details like your radio.
Right! Leave it to me!
I wouldn't if there were any other way out of this, believe me.
It's lonely being alone on Christmas Eve. That's why I was listening to an all-request show on the radio, see? I was listening to it real booming loudly. But I'm sure I heard that gunshot. I remember exactly what the DJ was saying when I heard it, too.
You were listening to your radio at a high volume.
Yeah, what's the big problem? Can't a man listen to his radio in peace? Isn't this a free country?
I truly believe Larry has no idea what the problem here is. Judge. Can you believe a word this witness says? What he heard was probably nothing more than a drum beat from the radio. True enough, it is difficult to believe this testimony.
Wait, Your Honor!
The witness said he remembers exactly what the DJ said when he heard the gunshot. Excuse me? DJ? An announcer, the guy who says things on the radio. Anyway, what this means is, when he heard the sound, no music was playing. The DJ only talks between songs, so he could have heard the gunshot from the lake. I'd like to cross-examine the witness, Your Honor. Very well, Mr. Wright. I can't believe I'm continuing this charade. So you turned on the radio?
Hey! I just wanted to hear someone's voice, you know? You don't know what it's like out there alone on Christmas Eve.
I shouldn't have said anything. Do you by any chance remember the name of the program you were listening to? This has nothing to do with the case, Your Honor. Objection sustained. The witness was listening to the radio. That's all we need to know. Tell us, Mr. Butts, how loud was your radio set to that night? Real booming loud?
Yeah, you know.
And you had headphones on?
Yep.
I wouldn't think you could hear anything going on outside at all. Because Keonsae was at a photo shoot in Hawaii. Keonsae was out of town, evidently not having bothered to schedule time with Larry on Christmas. Can you prove that? No, of course you can't.
Nah, I can't prove it. But I remember that moment real clear. I mean, while I was talking about it, it came back real clear to me, you know?
What did she say? Mr. Wright, please cease these pointless questions. What possible good could knowing what a radio DJ said do us? Indeed, Mr. Von Karma has a point. I'll allow the question only if you see some reason why we should care. We should care, Your Honor. Of course we should. Why?
Well, how do you know if we don't ask, huh?
Fine. Very well. Mr. Butts, please testify to the court. What was the radio announcer saying when you heard the gunshot?
Just when she said, "Hey, it's almost Christmas," I heard the gunshot.
This is the most ludicrous testimony I have ever heard. There is one gleaming ray of hope in there. I've got to press it until we get to the bottom of what happened. Alright, so we have one new statement at the end.
almost Christmas, huh? Which is interesting because this photo was taken on Christmas. By about 15 minutes. I mean, the judge allows a lot of things, you know? The judge is a special man, okay? Although, to be fair, anyone who gets stuck with the cases Phoenix takes is bound to go bonkers at some point, you know? Larry, are you absolutely sure what you're saying is correct? Huh? What's with the face? You look scary, dude. Hey, if you're trying to scare me, you better know I don't scare that easy. In a moment. Here we go. Is something the matter, Mr. Wright? Your Honor, did you hear what the witness just said? The DJ said, "Hey, it's almost Christmas," when he heard the gunshot. Indeed. And, um, technically, judges do make that decision all the time. It's just that usually it's in a jury trial and you retire to chambers so that you can tell the judge in camera what the witness is going to say and the judge can decide whether it's relevant before the jury hears it. But there are actually a lot of circumstances where you justify asking the question by saying it goes to motive or it goes to opportunity. The court doesn't know what the information is yet, but you're like, this will provide a reason we think is relevant because this. Although, typically you're not questioning Larry, so you actually know what the witness is going to say before the witness says it, as opposed to just this kind of wild spray of random words coming out of Larry's mouth. The judge is just very easily led, let's just say. Almost Christmas means it wasn't Christmas. Do you realize what this means? When he heard the gunshot, it was still Christmas Eve. That would seem to be the case, yes. But he should have heard that gunshot after midnight. This photograph is irrefutable proof of this fact. Oh, absolutely! Most of Phoenix's arguments are complete and utter BS. That's just kind of how Phoenix operates. Let's see what the time was on the photo taken when the gun triggered Ms. Hart's camera. 12:25. Oh, 15 minutes after midnight on Christmas Day. This is a clear contradiction, Your Honor. Order! Order! What does this mean? The two prior witnesses heard gunshots after midnight. However, this witness says he heard a gunshot before midnight. Judge, the answer is simple. The current witness is plainly mistaken. Just look at him. Suspicious! Well, Mr. Wright, what do you think about Mr. Butts' claim that he heard gunshot before midnight? Larry's not mistaken, Your Honor. He heard that gunshot before midnight. Intriguing. I'm assuming you have evidence for this wild claim. Show me evidence there was a gunshot before midnight. Where did we put... second leg photo. Here we are. Look at this photograph. This was taken by our witness yesterday, Ms. Lotta Hart, with her automatic camera. The timestamp on the photo reads December 24th, 11:50 p.m. Oh? I think the gun was fired twice. Doesn't it say? Yes, fired 3 times. So, yeah. There should have been
There's nothing on the lake in this picture. The gun fired 3 times, but there is nothing proving that the third shot was that any of the extra shots were fired this particular night. It's essentially the way you would prove that, quote unquote, prove that, is a gun like this would basically be missing 3 rounds from the magazine. So there are 3 rounds missing from the magazine. They're somewhere. One of them presumably is in the victim, and the other 2 are question mark, question mark, question mark? But this does say that it is possible, and indeed likely, that there was more than 1 gunshot could have been heard that night. Anyhow, 2 other witnesses said that there were 2 gunshots that night, and neither of the 2 of them had a reason to lie deliberately, nor did they have a chance to check with each other beforehand. So, in this case, once again, Larry is probably the idiot. Your Honor, the real issue here is not why nothing is shown in this photograph. It is why this photograph exists at all. What do you mean? Your Honor, this photograph was taken by an automatic camera. That camera was set to go off in response to loud noises. Aha! Correct! There was a loud noise on the lake at 11:50 p.m. That is why this photograph was taken. In other words, when Larry heard that gunshot, it was most definitely still Christmas Eve. Indeed, it would seem that that is the case. Then, where does that leave us? Ms. Hart testified that she heard the gunshots after midnight. Are you claiming she was mistaken? Not at all, Your Honor. It is a fact that the camera also triggered at 15 minutes after midnight. Your Honor, that night there were 2 sets of gunshots with a 25-minute pause between them. Why would this be? Don't be fooled, Judge. That camera was set to respond to loud noises. Yes? There's no proof that the loud noise at 11:50 was a gunshot. Why, the witness could have sneezed, triggering the camera. Hey, my nose was clear that night, man! Clear! Well, Mr. Wright? There's no turning back now. Can you prove that the loud noise at 11:50 p.m. was indeed a gunshot? Please show the court evidence if you have any. Now the gun comes into play, where we prove that it was fired more than once, and so more than 1 gunshot is perfectly plausible. This is my evidence. The murder weapon? Something about this pistol was bothering me, Your Honor. Both of the witnesses who testified yesterday heard 2 gunshots. However, the murder weapon was fired 3 times. When, then, was the last shot fired? Only now have I realized the truth. The 3rd shot was the shot Larry heard just before midnight. Order! Order! That would make sense of the evidence we've seen so far. However, this leaves me wondering exactly what did happen that night on the lake. Exactly. If this is true, there were 2 sets of gunshots separated by 25 minutes. One at 11:50, and another at 15 minutes after midnight. Why, I ask you, why? Uh-oh, I better think of something quick. Wait a sec. Gunshots separated by 25 minutes. Ah! What's wrong, Nick? I have it! I have it. Huh? Remember the case with the Steel Samurai? Huh? Yeah, of course I remember. The murderer in this case had the same idea as the murderer in that case. What do you mean? Maya? Yes? If we don't figure this out now, we'll never overturn Edgeworth's guilty verdict. I've got a hunch, and I'm gonna run with it. Right. I mean, is this safe? Safe? We've already gotten a guilty verdict. We have nothing to lose.
You just watch and let me know if I say anything that sounds fishy, okay? Right, Nick. Your Honor. Yes, Mr. Wright? The testimony just now has cleared up this entire case. What do you mean, Mr. Wright? So you finally realize the truth. There can be no other murderer here than Miles Edgeworth himself. Wrong, Von Karma. A man was shot that night, but it wasn't Edgeworth who did the shooting. Listen, rookie. Take a deep breath and consider the facts. At the time of the murder, one boat was on that lake. This was shown by the witness's photograph. The defendant, Edgeworth, and the victim, Robert Hammond, were on that boat. There was a gunshot fired on that boat, and Robert Hammond fell into the lake. The distance of the shooting was 1 meter. It couldn't have been suicide. Well, the guilty party has to be the other man on that boat. I admit, it is hard to imagine any other possibility. Yes, but this assumes that the victim was shot at 15 minutes after midnight. What do you mean by that, Mr. Wright? We have photographic evidence of the time of the shooting. The timestamp on the photo says 15 minutes after midnight. But Larry heard a gunshot 25 minutes before that. Robert Hammond was killed then, 25 minutes before the shot on the lake. It's the only way that Edgeworth could be innocent. Mr. Wright, are you quite mad? Explain who the two men on the boat are. Of course, it was Edgeworth and the murderer. After the murderer killed Robert Hammond at 11:50, he assumed the guise of Mr. Hammond and met Edgeworth. What? Are you serious? Yes. Edgeworth won't tell us why he went to the lake that night. However, I have a hunch. That night, Robert Hammond called Edgeworth to the lake. Now, Edgeworth didn't know Robert Hammond's face that well. That's why he didn't suspect anything when the murderer took Robert Hammond's place. I'm not sure what to make of all this. Ludicrous. Mr. Wright, tell us the name of the murderer, then. The murderer's name? Right, it's... Actually, I don't know the murderer's name. You don't know? Bah! Again, you waste my time. I don't know, because he never told us. The murderer is the caretaker of the boat shop, that old man. At 11:50, he was the one who killed Robert Hammond. The caretaker of the boat shop? Where did he do this? There weren't any boats in the lake then. Why would he have to go all the way out on the lake just to shoot someone? May I suggest that the real scene of this crime was not on a boat? What? Well, then where did the murder take place? So the judge where the murder really took place? Any bets? Hmm? I mean, if the caretaker is gonna kill somebody, where would he do it? Not by the hot dog stand, actually. Here, of course, the boat shop, where he lives. That way he could meet with the victim without anyone seeing.
Do you have proof that the boat shop was the scene of the crime?
Recall Larry's testimony, if you will. That night he was out on the lake in a boat, searching for something. He finds it and returns the boat. Then, just as he's starting to head for home, he hears a gunshot. He heard a gunshot, Your Honor, even though he was wearing headphones at the time. In other words, the gunshot was very, very close by. And where would that be if he had just returned a boat? The boat shop. Mr. Wright, what happened that night on Gourd Lake? Please tell the court from the beginning. Yes, Your Honor. Nick, are you sure about this? Not really. But I think if I start at the very beginning, and I take it slow, I might just be able to figure this out. That night, the caretaker of the boat shop called Robert Hammond to his shop. This was around 11:50. That was when the gunshot that Larry heard was fired. After that, the caretaker put on Robert Hammond's coat. He became Robert Hammond. Then he got into the boat with Edgeworth and went out into the middle of the lake. Then who fired the pistol on the boat, Mr. Wright? Of course, it was the murderer who shot the pistol. He shot twice. Both missed Edgeworth on purpose. Wait a minute. Yes? Why would he shoot twice if he didn't mean to hit anyone? Details. Know this, Mr. Wright. The moment you run out of explanations is the moment you lose. Tell us why the murderer had to fire twice. I believe he shot twice to create a witness, Your Honor. Create a witness? The murderer lifts his pistol and fires one shot. That ensures that anyone who heard the shot would look at the lake. Indeed, Ms. Hart did exactly that after hearing the first gunshot. Next! The murderer waits a bit and he fires again. Then, the murderer jumps from the boat himself, leaving the pistol in the boat behind him. See, to someone looking from the edge of the lake, it would appear that one of the men on the boat had shot the other. The murderer didn't know about the automatic camera, of course. That's why he shot twice to draw attention to the boat. Once you realize that, everything else falls into place. The boat shop caretaker swam back to his shop. Then he put Mr. Hammond's wet coat back on the body, and threw the body into the lake. This is what happened, Your Honor. These are the events that transpired that night on Gourd Lake. Beth! Bring out the witness from before. The boat shop caretaker, quickly! Very well. While we are waiting for the caretaker, I would like to ask the defendant Miles Edgeworth a few questions. Why would Yanni Yogi have motive to kill Hammond and frame Edgeworth for it? Well, I mean, think about it. He got dragged into a murder case. What if he didn't do it? Mr. Edgeworth, please take the stand. Mr. Edgeworth, you heard what the defense has said. Yes. Well, why did you go to the lake that night? What Wright has said was mostly correct.
Astonishingly so, actually. Yes. Several days ago I received a letter. The letter was signed Robert Hammond. He asked me to come to the boat shop by the lake at midnight on Christmas Eve. He said he had something very important to discuss with me. Something important? I'm sorry, I can't say what it was. Huh. Your Honor, sir! Bailiff, we're conducting a trial here. I ask that you remain quiet. The witness has disappeared. He isn't at the boat shop either. What? What should I do? Find him, quickly! We cannot allow him to get away. Mr. Von Karma, your witness has disappeared. A search warrant has already been issued. Goes without saying that I cannot declare a verdict under these circumstances. I will extend the trial until tomorrow, the final day allowed. I request that the police department utilize all its forces to find that witness. Am I understood? One more thing. Just who is that boat shop caretaker? I think his identity has become very important to this trial. I want him, and I want to know who he is. Very well. Court is adjourned. Hammond got him acquitted. Yeah, but how did Hammond get him acquitted? There are plenty of ways to ruin somebody's life short of sending them to jail, you know.
Hey, Nick, you did it!
Yeah. Well, at least we got out from under that guilty verdict.
What about Larry? That was something else. Even Von Karma didn't know what to do with his testimony. Larry really helped us out.
Sure, once I sifted through his unique testimony. Still, he did save us. Just wish our cases weren't so down to the wire all the time.
I know what you mean. Sometimes I feel like it's on us. Sometimes I feel like it's us on trial instead of our clients.
Hey, Edgeworth.
Mr. Edgeworth?
Did you say something?
Don't look so pained. I mean, it looks like you're probably going to get off the hook. You could try to smile just a little. Relax.
I'm sorry. But I fear it's not over for me yet. What do you mean? Right. There's something that's been troubling me for a long time now. And I don't know whether or not to tell you. Edgeworth? There's so little time left. I want to tell you to get it off my chest, but... Can't make up my mind. What is this about, Edgeworth? It's a nightmare I've had. A memory of a crime that I committed. A crime you committed? A memory of a murder. To be continued, we'll find out what that's about later, I guess. Well, that seems like a good point to leave you guys in suspense. So yeah, Edgeworth's having nightmares about having committed a murder. And he apparently almost didn't tell Phoenix this. frankly kind of wish he hadn't, but you know, he's like, Phoenix is like, great job, you didn't commit this murder, and Edgeworth is like, I feel like I might have committed a different one. So, yeah, your theories were both kind of correct. So far as we know, there is still more to come in this trial. Like learning exactly why Yanni Yogi, the caretaker who is probably Yanni Yogi, wanted Hammond dead. Why Von Karma decided to come prosecute this trial? I mean, he basically flew in from Europe in order to stomp on Phoenix's face. Um, oh, you got it. Well, thank you for coming, Spatial Rift. Your summary of the case while I was busy stuffing some snacks into my face was most excellent, and I think you've caught up utterly on fire. They're also welcome to come back next Saturday to find out the thrilling denouement of this case. The last day, third day of the trial, is the last day legally allowed in this crazy upturned justice system in this game. So we should be able to finish this case 1-4 Turnabout Goodbyes next week on Saturday. And once the case is finished, I will post a whole bunch of notes about it, and there are a ton of them. Partly because this one is very character heavy and backstory heavy, but also because the DL6 incident keeps fucking coming up. Like, this is the butterfly that flapped its wings and changed basically the entire world. Like, you still haven't heard the full backstory about how Phoenix and Edgeworth and Larry all know each other, all met when they were fucking 9. So yeah, you get to hear that story. I think from Larry is where it ultimately comes from. I would also like to point out in advance that you should watch and just observe how completely unrepentant Phoenix is about letting some dude he met and knew for a few months when he was 9 basically, like, secondhand decide his major life transitions for him. But yeah, there's a lot of dialogue, there's a lot of backstory, there's a lot of just crazy fuckery with the court case next week. I will see all of you guys back again, same rat time, same rat channel, next Saturday when we finish out case 1-4 Turnabout Goodbyes. And with that, I think I shall take my leave. I think it is about time for me to give my voice a bit of a rest, and probably wake the rats up to feed them a thing, because they're now so secure in their house that I have to wake them up to feed snacks, and sometimes they don't bother. They're like, put it down, it'll be there later. It's very cute. But, alright. Everybody will be back next week. I hope you guys will be back next week. Tell all of your friends, bring them back next week. One last thing, too, is that on Halloween, I am planning a late stream where I play the demo to Ghost Trick, which is another game by the Ace Attorney people. I've played it on DS, and I thought it was gorgeous on DS and a lot of fun, and I'm very curious as to how they have redone the control scheme for Steam. Because on the DS, a lot of it depended on, like, multi-touching on the touchscreen, and I'm not sure how they've done that. In any case, I will play the demo, and if I like the way they've converted it for PC, I'll probably at some point pick up the full thing and play that on the Twitch channel too. So I will see you around 8:30 or 9 on Halloween if you elect to drop in and watch me play Ghost Trick. It's a fun game that starts with the main character's murder. So, yeah, you can look forward to that on Tuesday, Halloween night. In the meantime, have fun with that Ace Attorney cliffhanger. I will see you guys next Saturday. Bye-bye!